This is the WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Now, your host, Scott Walker.
This morning, we're joined by the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, and in studio with us today, we have Sergeant Gary Herron and also Sergeant Austin Watson. I guess starting out, maybe talk a little bit about what each of you do within the Sheriff's Department on a daily basis. And I guess, Sergeant Watson, we'll start with you. So what do you do each and every day?
Sure. So I am the Tennessee Highway Safety Office Sergeant. So my job is to do traffic and data analysis when it comes to crashes in the county, serious injury, fatalities. How can we do calming efforts to reduce those types of wrecks? Also, I teach at the Sheriff's Office as well over the traffic stuff, and it's kind of just what I do on a daily basis.
And then, Sergeant Herron, tell us what you do.
Well, good morning there, Scott. Thank you for having us this morning. I am over the Community Service Division with the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. So what I get to do is community engagement. We'll go out and we'll have different events throughout the county. Also, I'm a car seat technician and instructor. The list is long of what we do.
Yes,
So,
it is.
throughout the county over the years, have we seen increases in issues dealing with traffic? And you know, that would take in both of you because you're talking about child safety seats, you're talking about accidents. So have we seen an increase in accidents?
With population growth comes pains. There's definitely crashes going on in Rutherford County. We're trying to do a good job. We had a decrease in fatal crashes last year. Property damage crashes, of course, are always still occurring, but we do our best with more and more people wanting to come to this great county to try to make sure that people are following traffic laws and not crashing out there every day.
And then how do you go about letting folks know new laws and things they can do to maintain better safety on the roads?
So that's where we both come in. We do a lot of community events. We try to get out to teen drivers, to everybody that falls in the spectrum, and we give out pamphlets talking about texting and driving, slowing down, car seat safety, anything that the Highway Safety Office, which is kind of the state organization, that's their kind of job. We give those pamphlets out and just try to really engage and try to answer people's questions at big events that we can go to.
Now, I know for several years there's even been a teen driving safety course or a class. How has that been going?
So that's through school resource officers. Chad Dotson up at Las Casas Elementary, he really runs that program and does a really good job. I'm getting a lot of phone calls from our SROs that want us to come in and help with the alcohol and drug portion of it, because we definitely don't want teen drivers, you know, especially since they're new drivers, adding alcohol or drugs while they're operating a vehicle.
Are you seeing big increases in drug use, alcohol use while driving?
We're actually starting to see a little bit of decrease, which is over the years, it's been through the roof. Speeding is more becoming something we're seeing on a daily basis versus alcohol impairment. It's still very prevalent, but not as bad as it has been.
And you know, with today's, we got Ubers, we got all those Lyft drivers. There shouldn't be any drinking and driving going on.
That's right. It should all be over with right now.
Absolutely.
Close that department up.
We shouldn't have to be talking about this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Might as well shut the jail down. Are those the majority of, when it comes to arrest on the roads, are the majority of arrests usually tied to drinking or using drugs while driving?
Alcohol and drugs, they're about 50-50. So as we've seen and more... how do I say this? More people understand how drugs go into the body, and we're teaching officers how drug impairment works. We're seeing more drug arrest. That's probably why you're seeing more drug arrests than alcohol arrests, but they're about 50-50. Impairment's impairment. It doesn't matter if it's drug or alcohol. We just want to get the impaired driver off the road.
And that charge, of course, is the same, that DUI is a DUI. When it comes to the courts, when you present the case to the courts, you're presenting also a drug test or, you know, a blood analysis test that's going to show not only alcohol, but also the drugs they used?
Yes. So the TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, is the one who tests those blood tests. If the alcohol comes above a 0.08, then they will not test for the drugs in the body. If it's lower than a 0.08, let's say it comes at a 0.05, the officer was still seeing impairment, that's when they will test for drugs. If alcohol comes back zeros, and then they're definitely testing for drugs on the back end.
In those cases, I mean, they have to make a decision right then if the person's intoxicated or not intoxicated. I'm sure they do a field sobriety test and whatnot. But are those Does it ever come back to where in court the person is found not guilty because it turns out there were no drugs in the system? They were just, tired or something along those lines?
So it can happen. The thing with that is you have 20 minutes to make a decision, right? And those officers are trained to use field sobriety tests to understand, hey, this is what impairment looks like. I've seen impairment. This is what impairment looks like. I have probable cause to make that arrest. Not every drug can be tested by TBI. There's so many designer drugs. People are pressing pills nowadays that you can't test everything that's on the market and or that's being illicitly made. Just because there's nothing in the system doesn't mean that there wasn't or the officer didn't see an impairment. Does that make sense?
It makes it for a tough world that we live in,
yes,
especially when it comes to prosecution.
Yes, it does. And it's a hard thing. Those field sobriety the tests are tested for alcohol and drugs. They have been scientifically proven by the Southern California Research Institute. So there's people that are very smarter than us who say, hey, these things work. Medical professionals use them to test while they're doing medical evaluations. It's just that they're being done on the side of the road and that they are showing signs of impairment. And it's not just the SFSTs. There are a lot that goes into it. How was the vehicle behavior? How was the person acting? What did they see? Then it's that totality of the circumstances that says, hey, we believe impairment is here. We believe an arrest should be made or not made. It could go either way. It could show that there's no impairment. People drive away.
When these arrests are made, are they typically cases where the officer sees somebody swerving, or is it often where a citizen calls in and says, hey, this person looks to be drunk or intoxicated?
It really depends. We get calls for reckless vehicles. Accidents occur. Sometimes the officer sees the violation themselves. So there's a wide variety of things that happen. We do have very good citizens that call in when they believe people may be driving impaired, and we try to investigate those as much as we can.
And if you think about this, when those calls come in, we check them out and we decide to make an arrest, right? And let's just say something comes back, well, they maybe wasn't impaired as the results come back. But if they're driving in a fashion that people are calling in and we determine based on the SFSTs, I got that person off the road, I might have saved one person's life, or I might have saved many just because of the calls that we're getting in, how they're driving erratically, whatever it is. And if I can save my kid's life or your kid's life or anybody's kid's life or mom and dad's life, it was worth the moment.
What are some of the biggest issues you see right now here in Rutherford County? I mean, would it involve drugs? Would it involve alcohol? Or what is the biggest problem?
It's 50-50. I mean, impaired driving in and of itself is bad, right? A lot of people get stuck on alcohol and drugs, which alcohol is nothing more than a drug. Basically, we're seeing that impaired driving is going down, and that we're seeing as much alcohol cases as we are drug cases. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And as new drugs become legal, and we all know probably within the next few years, we're going to see marijuana as it creeps into the South and it becomes more prevalent and legal, we're going to have growing pains. And that's just the part of it.
I would say probably the most, besides just drug and alcohol, because I don't want to get stuck on drug and alcohol. But I'll tell you the number one thing, too, is speed kills. People are out here driving like they're in the Indy 500. That's on the interstate. That's on the side roads. You name it, within Rutherford County, people are flying down these roads. And on top of that, you got road rage. And I know we've talked about that before here, but my main thing is there's a whole lot of things that happens here in Rutherford County, as we all know. And besides the drugs and the alcohol, speed is what kills. And our cell phones aren't going anywhere. They're going to be here. We don't have the rotary dials anymore. So a lot of people's on that phone looking at it, distracted, causes an accident.
I know there's been an increase, and at least the Sheriff's Department has talked about an increase in accidents on Highway 231 South. And I think Highway 96 was another area that saw an increase in accidents. But what is leading to the increase of accidents on highways like 231? Is it just speed, or what is it?
It's absolutely speed. I pulled the data on 231. That's kind of those calming efforts are mine. If you've seen the banners out there, if you drive 231,
You say calming efforts.
Calming efforts. So a lot of what we do is we put radar trailers, message trailers, banners saying, hey, this is a high crash area. We send deputies out there with our traffic saturation money. So we try to put more of a police presence out there to get people to slow down. We had 2 fatals, I think it was in August, and I believe both of them were speed related. I can't say that for sure. But both of them had speed involved, and that's where we're seeing a lot of our fatals is more speed than impairment.
If I recall correctly, one was involving a motorcyclist?
Yes, both incurred at Rock Springs Midland Road. So both of those fatalities were there at 231 and Rock Springs Midland, one involving a motorcycle, both involving speed.
And these were not involving impaired driving. These were literally speed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So as Sergeant Heron said, people are driving real fast and we're trying to get them to slow down.
And you got to think, let's say a ticket, I think it's 19 over, which is nothing out on 231. That's a $333.50 ticket.
Yeah.
Now, it can be confusing in certain areas of town where the speed limit may change from 40 to 45 to 65. What can you do to, I guess, better educate drivers on that speed limit change and where to slow down versus when you can speed up?
Well, I would say this. You know, we as people, we pay attention, right? Attention to detail, whatever it is. It's just people. There's a lot of people that live in Rutherford County, has lived in Rutherford County for a very long time. And some things never change. 55 to 65 is in the same location it's been since I've been here. 45 dropping to 55 when you get closer to the city near Walmart, it drops down to 45. It's just paying attention. You know, and in all honesty, not the way this sounds, but just pay attention. We shouldn't have to sit there and have a big old humongous 12 by 12 flashing sign that says the speed limit's going down. They took their test. They know what to look for. But, you know, our most important thing is that if we can slow somebody down and save somebody's life, at the end of the day, you may not get a ticket. You may get a warning from us. But one of the things that I always tell everybody that when I pull them over working saturation for Sergeant Watson here is this 8-minute time limit that I've maybe been with you, talking to you, trying to slow you down, could have saved you from an accident 2 miles down the road. You know what I'm saying? So just a little bit of just, hey, you need to slow down. That's what it's all about. I mean, have I written ticket? Yes. But my most important thing is they get to wherever they're going safely and they make it home.
And that's all we ask, you know. Traffic stops, we don't want to write tickets because we understand that $300 out of your pocket in today's economy is hard. People have lives and families. But at the same time, our biggest effort is, hey, if we can educate you what the speed limit is, and then we can get you to slow down and say, hey, is it worth getting to work 2 minutes earlier or being in a serious injury crash where you could die? Is 2 minutes late versus dying? What's on the scale? Where are we at? Right?
We have our own personal responsibility. If I got to be at work at 8 o'clock, I might need to leave a little bit earlier than what I think that I should.
Well, see, now that's common sense.
It is.
It seems like people avoid common sense at all costs at times.
Because we are in such a hurry everywhere we go. Because we wait to the last minute to leave, and you know things are going to happen at home. It does. It's going to happen. You know. You drop something on, you got to change clothes, whatever it is, things are going to happen. However,
you got a baby at home that
exactly, yes. But you know, you got to plan for those things.
Have you ever pulled somebody over and heard an excuse that actually made sense to where you said, okay, well, that does make sense. Let me see if I can help you with XYZ.
Absolutely. There's some people that will feed you a good lie. And you know, you can just feel it in your gut that, oh yeah, okay, whatever. But there's been some that I have pulled over that it's just been, hey, this is something serious that's going on. Absolutely. Well, slow down. I want you to get there safely. For example, I had one tell me, hey, my mother was put in the hospital. Okay, I understand that. She's at the hospital, correct? Yes. Then she's in good hands. You're going to get there. Everything's going to be okay. Just slow down. And so, you know, it's just sometimes people's they think is an emergency is really not an emergency I mean, to them it is. So I'm not discounting, hey, it is emergency. And with that incident right there, it was an emergency. However, just slow down. You're going to get there. Your family member is safe, is okay. They're being taken care of.
I think the only time, of course, I'm not a police officer, I'm not a deputy, but the one time that I did see a situation that to me made sense just from the outside looking in, I was at the hospital in Shelbyville visiting somebody, and this couple comes running in, and there's a state trooper that pulled in right behind them that came in after them, and the state trooper stopped the husband and said, you know, I turned my lights on about 5 miles down the road, but you obviously, I'm guessing you saw me, but you didn't stop. You continued to the hospital. What's going on? And that's when I heard the husband say something to the effect of, well, his wife started having intense chest pains, like she was having a heart attack or something. So they drove on to the hospital in Shelbyville. Yeah. And I think the state trooper said, well, you know, next time just call 911, do something. And he said, well, you know, if I were to call 911, an ambulance, so it would have taken them more time to get to me and then get her to the hospital because we're right down the street from her.
Yeah.
And that made sense.
It did, absolutely.
But usually I could see where things, you know, wouldn't add up. There's no reason for you to go however fast you're going.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's a hard one, right? You want to take care of them, but we always say, if that happens, call us, call 911, be like, hey, this deputy's behind me. I've got a wife with chest pains. I'm not fleeing. And they'll probably be like, okay, cool. We're going to try to get you to an ambulance. And then be like, hey, dispatch is going to get with us. Do you want to try to get them to the hospital, or do you want us to call an ambulance? Let us try to decide that and help you out. At that situation on 231, it may just be easier to let you just go, right? Hey, we'll let you go. We'll try to get you there safely. At the same time, if we're in the middle of 231 on our side and you're trying to go to St. Thomas, we've got resources where an ambulance is right there on right across from Christiana Elementary. Hey, we can tell them, hey, look, go ahead and pull over. I can have you an ambulance in 30 seconds. So communicate with us. That's all we ask. If you have to, hey, call 911. I'm not fleeing. This is what I got going on. Let us communicate back and work together, and that way there's no miscommunication to where that happens.
Now, are most of the incidents involving accidents, do they happen in daylight? Do they happen at dark? When do they usually happen?
Happens usually between the hours between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Which is, I guess, when most people are on the road.
Well, when they're going home. We do have a spike usually at 7 a.m. in the morning. Again, that's when traffic volume is high, especially when people are trying to get to work by 8 a.m. But usually it falls down when the 8 o'clock hour comes. But we see a lot of accidents between 2 and 7 when people are coming home. You know, some people get off at 2, some people get off at 3. You get your school traffic after 3 o'clock, and then you get your rush hour at 5. And so that's when we're seeing a lot of our accidents.
You know, one thing that I definitely want to bring up, since we're talking about speed, you know, we got Halloween coming up. Mm-hmm. And we definitely want people to slow down during Halloween time. There's going to be a lot of kids out there. Pay attention. Get off your phone. Pay attention to what's on the road. There's going to be kids everywhere during Halloween. And that's probably one of our biggest things that, you know, we, as speed-wise, we want people to be aware of that. Even, you know, now it's going to be starting early. We got a trunk or treater, I think it's on the square on Halloween from 3 to 5. But there's, after that, I mean, you think about it, people are coming home at 5 o'clock. There's going to be kids already out there. So please pay attention, slow down. You're going to get home. Your home is not going anywhere, I promise you. So just slow down and get there safely.
Is there an increase in pedestrian-related accidents around Halloween usually?
There is. This is why NHTSA has, this is Pedestrian Safety Month for the National Highway Safety Traffic Administration. Just because we see pedestrian deaths increase, especially with Halloween, with kids walking around trying to get candy and stuff. Things we do around here is we try to put out some information like, hey, please do like 15 in subdivisions. You know, it may be 30, but we ask you to slow it down to 15, 10 miles an hour. Like Sergeant Heron said, we don't want to see our young youth get hurt on a night that they're supposed to be having fun. So what we ask people is slow down to 15 in neighborhoods. Even if you have to slow down further, pay attention, and then be aware of this pedestrian month, and we want no pedestrian deaths.
Absolutely.
My biggest fear as a parent when my kids were younger around Halloween was a drunk driver. Will somebody out drunk hit my kid without even seeing them? I don't know if that's a misplaced fear, or are there more drunk drivers on Halloween?
Can't say that there is or isn't. There's really no real data to support that right off the bat. Impaired driving is a problem, but speed is more here during Halloween as people fly through neighborhoods and don't see that kid that looks out right in front of them. That's usually what we have most problems with.
Because, as kids, they got to get to that next house to get that next Reese cup. You know what I'm saying? So they're just running like just back and forth.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, I don't either.
I
Not
love
for a Reese cup.
Now, is there an increased penalty, additional charges that can be filed when somebody's caught speeding in a neighborhood where the speed limit's typically 30 or less?
So, no, there is not like a work zone or construction zone. There's no extra fine or penalty for speeding in a neighborhood. So, it's just the normal fine.
But now, if that person is speeding past a group of kids who are playing next to the road, could you then increase it to, reckless endangerment or something?
There would have to be some specifics to that. We're talking about going from a misdemeanor to a felony, so there's got to be a proper investigation done. How far was the kid? There's a lot that can go into that. Could it? Yes. Likely, depends.
Now, in nearby Nashville, they continue to talk about problems with racing on the roads. They continue to talk about problems with people doing donuts, doing burnouts, things like that. Are we seeing issues with that here, too?
Road rage is here.
There's a difference.
There's a different road rage. Yes. So one of the things that I have noticed that we haven't had a lot of the street racing that Nashville's taking care that is dealing with, and hopefully they don't come to Rutherford County, because I'm not saying Davidson County's not taking care of business, but I think that Rutherford County would definitely take care of business, and that's why we don't see what we do, and I'm thankful for that. It's not like what it used to be. I think it was maybe a year or so ago. They would come to the Davison-Rutherford County line and shut down the traffic, but they wouldn't come to Rutherford County. So I'm thankful for that. Trust me. Why? I don't know, but I think it's because it will take care of business. I'm not saying Davison County's not, because they do a great job and they have a whole lot more people to deal with than we do, and they've got, it's just a lot going on there. But so thankfully it's not like what it used to be.
And with street racing, I believe the courts, they can repossess someone's vehicle, but the problem is most cars aren't paid for, so whose car are you really repossessing?
Yeah. Yep.
And then when it comes to road rage, I know we've had issues specifically in the city limits of Murfreesboro where at least one person was shot and killed. They were riding a motorcycle. They were killed by a man supposedly driving an SUV. I don't think it's been to court yet. But that was the most recent deadly road rage incident I recall here in Murfreesboro. But I'm sure there's others.
Yeah, most of the road rages we had never escalate to that. But we still do get people who are in a hurry and riding people's bumpers and doing all that, and for some reason people think that waving a gun is a good idea to get people to move out of their way. I don't know why, but we do get those calls, I'd say at least 4, 5, 6 times a week.
That's crazy.
Speaking about road rage, my wife had it just the other day. This guy pulls out in front of her, almost causing an accident. She blows the horn, he gets out of the car.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So she was kind of scared about that, and I said, just make sure that door's locked. So,
but yeah, you really can't tell with people's tempers these days if they're going to get out of the car, if they're going to pull a gun.
No, you don't. And people are living on the edge now. For some reason, I know I've said this before. It's almost like a firecracker. When you light the stem on that thing, it's just like it's so quick now. People are so quick to be angry over a noise, which is a horn or whatever it is. If you're about to cause an accident, that's what that horn's there for. I'm going to blow my horn. People are just so quick, and a lot of times it's because the world that we're living is such a rat race. And somehow we have to figure out, what can I do to calm myself down? Put on some jazz, put something on in the car, just something to relax. It's at the end of the day, let's just get home, let's be safe, and let's live a good, cheerful life and have a great day.
So when you talk to people who, are pulled over because they're, wanted for questioning in regards to a road rage incident, do they tell you, hey, this is why I was so mad? Do they come out and say, well, I've been having a bad day? What do they usually say?
It runs the gambit. Either they're late or something set them off. It may be a home issue. There's a number of reasons, really. People have lives, and that may have been the catalyst that their bad day just went over the edge.
Are most deputies able to calm somebody down when they first have contact with them?
Most of the time, yeah. We do a really good job of speaking with people. A lot of times, sometimes we don't find them. We only get one side party, and that party might leave. So usually we're dealing with the person who's getting road raged against. So they're very upset too, because I'd be upset if someone pulled a gun on me. But our deputies do a really good job of trying, if they make contact with both parties, going, hey, I understand you're upset, but let's find out what happened and why you did the things you did.
The folks who you do catch who are accused of waving a gun in the air during a road rage incident, or they're mad at a neighbor and they pull a gun out, whatever the case is the gun usually a real gun? I mean, when you're able to actually get a hold of that weapon, is it usually a real gun, or is in some cases a fake gun?
I'd say most 90% are real guns.
Absolutely. There's not many people carry a fake gun anymore.
That would be kind of dumb, too.
Yeah, it would be dumb. Absolutely. But a gun's a gun. You know what I'm saying? Every gun is a real gun. That's the way I look at it.
Well, we got to take a short break, and then we'll come right back. Again, you're tuned to WGNS, and this morning we've got guests from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. We have Sergeant Herron and Sergeant Watson.
This is Peter Demas at Demas's Restaurant. One of the other things that we're doing on the remodel is that we're putting in ceiling tiles that have a high absorption for sound and be able to enjoy their meals with their families. We're bringing a lot of the green back, and we're bringing back retro light fixtures. We've added a wall while updating the look and making it a lot more fresh. Now that you've heard about the changes that we're making at Demas's, you need to check it out, so come on over right now. Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
Hey, this is Dan with Music World and Drummers Den. Come in for your guitars, keyboards, drums. We have you covered. Lessons, we got that. Drums and every other instrument with strings or keys. Music World and Drummers Den. The one-stop shop where you have everything that you might need. Ukuleles, violins, things that they're not expecting to find just everywhere they go. Come see us at Music World and Drummers Den, 2762 South Church Street, right across from the golf course. Music World and Drummers Den.
Adam's Place is tailored to you.
Well, I'm on a salt-free diet, so they're very good, Dale.
And exercise?
Well, I do a lot of walking. I have a bad back.
Peggy Cunningham invites you to
just come on and live with us.
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adam's Place. Call me for more information about Adam's Place. Phone 615-904-9111.
on Memorial.
Across from Walmart.
We're excited to announce that Capstar Bank is now officially a division of Old National Bank. The friends you've made while banking right here over the years are still here, and so are those delicious, warm, homemade cookies. Everything you enjoyed about Capstar is still at Old National Bank.
In Murfreesboro at 2230 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Come on over and enjoy warm cookies with friends while doing your banking at Old National Bank.
Old National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
This morning we have guests from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, to include Sergeant Gary Herron and also Sergeant Austin Watson. And we've been talking a little bit about traffic safety and different problems that come along with traffic and growth. Of course, here in Rutherford County, the future population growth, from what I read, is supposed to be up to like 700,000 residents by year. I think, 2040 or 2041, something crazy like that. Do we have a big enough sheriff's department to handle that? I mean, I know we don't right now, but do we have room for that type of growth within the sheriff's office?
We hope to keep on growing. That's all we can do. We don't have a choice. We got to grow with the community. So we're definitely working on recruiting within our department to get more officers, more detention officers, just more staff, and just all the way around. And we got to go with the growth. So,
and of course, as the population grows, unfortunately, so does the population at the jail, I'm sure.
yes, sir.
And that will continue.
It will continue.
Now, of all the accidents and everything we've talked about, from speeding to accidents involving alcohol or drugs or people getting pulled over for that, is there an average age range of those who you see in accidents typically?
Most accidents occur with the population of 20 to 28 is where we see mostly your young drivers. Your teen drivers are actually pretty good in Rutherford County. I think they only account for less than 10% of the actual crashes that do occur. But mostly your 20 to 30-year-olds, a little bit older than that, is where you're seeing most of your accidents occur.
I mean, I could see that age group rushing to work or trying to get to work. They're late. They have maybe younger kids. So that would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just the matter of slowing down and also, of course, not drinking, driving, or anything like that.
Absolutely. And another thing just to bring up, since we're talking about traffic, is our school zones. The last, I guess, for about a month now, I've been going to different school zones in the morning and the afternoons just to help out our officers. One of the things that I have noticed a lot is there's a flashing sign that says 15, and that's what that means. And another big issue that we've had is people being on their phone in a school zone.
Now, that is an increased fine, right? Or is it not?
Yes.
Yes, it is an increased fine. The regular hands-free, we can't have our phones in our hands to begin with. If it's within a school zone, it's an increased penalty.
Is it that hard to spot somebody on their phone, or is it pretty easy?
Absolutely, it's easy, because usually I'm sitting in the middle of the road looking at both sides of the traffic, running radar, and you know, all you got to do is look over and they're just got that phone right up to their face in a school zone. And you know, we take our school zones very serious because our kids are there, and we want your kids, my kids, everybody's kids to get to school safely. Even if there's not any kids out in the open, there's a possibility. And when you're distracted looking at your phone, there's going to be an accident, something's going to happen, and God forbid, I don't like to go on the what ifs, you know, but God forbid you distracted long enough, because we've all seen it on the road as they're looking at their phone, they're just weaving, thinking that they're impaired, you know, and it could easily happen even though you're going 15 miles an hour. So that's one of the big issues that I have noticed, and I'm sure Sergeant Watson has too, is just that in our school zones, we got to be mindful of the speed limit. For example, just this week, I pulled a guy over doing 69 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone.
A school zone?
A school zone, absolutely.
What area of town was that in?
This was on 231 in Christiana. Another
231?
Yes. 69, lights are flashing, cars. We got crossing guards out there that's working the road, and that's probably one of the most dangerous areas for our crossing guard is 231, because of it's a 4-lane road. Speed limit out there is 55, but when they come into the school zone, it's 20. So they need to slow down.
Well, what kind of excuse did the guy give you for doing 69 through a school zone?
He didn't realize he was in a school zone. I said, did you not see the flashing sign and the crossing guard standing in the middle? So, needless to say, he slowed down because I slowed him down. Also, we've had commercial vehicles come through there. I had a commercial vehicle come through there doing 40 miles an hour in a 20-mile-an-hour zone, loaded down, so it'd take him a whole lot longer to stop should, you know, a kid walk out or whatever. So I don't know, I've just gotten kind of passionate over our school zones here lately, and it's just, we just need to wake up a little bit and realize, hey, there's a flashing sign. You know, it goes back to what I said. Pay attention to details. Just look at it. Everything else is important, so let's make that important as well.
You know, I don't know what's got me on the kick of asking, is there an increased fine? But is there an increased fine for speeding through a school zone? Because you get an increased fine for speeding through a construction zone.
Yes. I believe there is for a school zone. If they're speeding in a school zone, it is increased.
There's school zone, work zone. Yes,
it would be hard not to want to throw somebody in jail if they're doing 70 plus miles an hour through a school zone, but you can't do that legally. So you pull them over and give them a ticket.
Yes.
different subject.
Absolutely, but just people just slow down. I promise you're going to get there. I promise you. It's just maybe a mile long that you got to go 20 miles an hour, if that, half a mile maybe, and just slow down. I mean, it's not going to ruin your day to slow down for a half a mile at 20 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know.
While we're on the subject of schools and kids and all that, there's an event coming up the Sheriff's Department is going to participate in, a trunk or treat event.
Yes, so the Rutherford County Traffic Task Force is going to be putting on a trunk or treat event. It'll be October 29th, that's a Tuesday, from 5 to 7 right there by the Driver's License Center. So Middle Tennessee and Samsonite, 5 to 7 if you want to come through. It won't just be us. It'll be Murfreesboro Police, Rutherford County Fire, Murfreesboro Fire, TWRA, THP. I mean, if they're an entity within Rutherford County, they're going to be there. We love seeing the kids. We love giving out candy. That's just a really cool community event that we can do.
And trust me, they eat the candy too.
Yes. I may nibble every now and then.
Now, are all of the different emergency agencies in Rutherford County, are they part of that safety task force?
So the Rutherford County Traffic Task Force is composed of only the police side. So you have us, the Highway Patrol, Murfreesboro Police, Smyrna, Laverne, Eagleville, TWRA. We get TDOT involved. We have outside partners with them. We get the state driver's license involved. It's something that we can come and meet, and we meet once a month to just go over, hey, what are we seeing in Rutherford County? Hey, THP is having a problem on the interstate. Hey, Rutherford County and Murfreesboro, can you come help? So it's a way for us to talk, to get together, and try to come up with solutions to reduce serious injury and fatal crashes. And also we try to do road complaints, like, hey, this road has a lot of fatals, or this one needs a light, or it needs a turn lane. How can we get with TDOT and the highway departments and try to make that happen?
Now, I know there are probably more fatalities than people realize in places like Rutherford County, because not every fatality gets reported, but it's a big concern, obviously.
So we average about 35 to 40 a year. And that includes the cities and the county. So we're doing a good job. We're trying to get those numbers down, because one fatality is too much. But absolutely, at the end of the day, bringing that task force together really helps us come up with solutions to make sure that we're doing our job to reduce those fatalities.
Now, are there any events, in addition to the trunk or treat, involving the task force that are coming up?
Coming up right now, so we are doing our trunk or treat. We will have a sobriety checkpoint in November. We're coming up with a 24-hour on 840 and Highway 96 saturation event to try to get people to slow down after the time change. We usually have we had it in September, the Touch a Truck. So that was a big community event. We had a lot of people come out. We do a lot of not just enforcement, but getting out and talking to the kids as well.
Yeah.
Again, with us this morning from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Gary Herron and also Sergeant Austin Watson. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it, sir.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.